So we're almost ready. Ready for sometime.
Can give me the key. And that's on. Okay.
Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody to our December monthly meeting, of the Board of Commissioners, Williamson County. It's December 13th at 10:03 a.m. Roll call, please.
Jim Atkinson.
Here.
Jim Razor.
Here.
Jim Marlowe.
Present.
At this time, I'd like everybody to stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jim, would you lead us in prayer?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessings you provide to us every single day. We ask you to be with this board today as we try to do good work for the citizens of Williamson County. I will always ask you, Lord, be with our first responders, servicemen and women all across the world as they try to keep us safe. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So typically, we would go right into a consent agenda and the items of our agenda. But there's somebody here today, I think, that needs to get back to work. Who would that be, Jepson? Sure, would you like to address the board? I heard that you might want to talk, say something. please.
Step up to the golden X.
Or emailing Jim.
Could you state your name, please?
Stephen Johnson. I live on
Could you spell
Route
that?
13.
Route 13?
Yeah, right back in Ridge Road.
Could you spell your name for us, please?
JEPSCN.
What do you have for us, Stephen?
So I'm not here to complain. Rod, I'm here to ask the board to make sure that you have informed decision making. You need, possibly my feedback here would be something that you need, and that's regarding the billboards that are going up around the county. And last week while coming back from Heron Club, and when it's dark in Williamson County, rural Williamson County, it's dark.
Mhm.
And these lighted billboards are pretty aggressive at night. And I noticed when I was coming up intersection 148 that the billboard and the stoplight are competing for my attention. There you can't avoid it. And when the billboard is putting out 1,000 lumens and the stoplight is very dim, I thought this could be a dangerous situation. And I wanted to bring to the attention of my county. As the other item I want to bring up is that, as a residential homeowner on Route 13, I don't know if the county has any policies or procedures when a site is located for these billboards, to exaggerate slightly. What if my neighbor puts one up? Then for the rest of my life here, I'm going to have a 50-foot billboard towering over my front lawn.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the restrictions are. Now, I've seen these signs in town. I've seen them over by 17th Street. You're fine. It's when you get into the rural area where you have higher speed traffic and you have a lighted LED billboard. It certainly gets its money's worth in terms of getting your attention, but I have a concern for safety. There's another one going up on Pentecost Road intersection on Route 13 that's very close to my house. And again, I'm not here to complain about it, but I'm kind of concerned about it. So concerned about it from a safety perspective, but also from the homeowners angle. And I just wanted the board to know that, that it is, I'm sure you know that they're going up.
Yeah.
I don't know what the process is, what they have to go through. The company may already have policies and procedures that make this a non-issue. I don't know. So that was my purpose of being here.
Okay. Of course, I think you might have been informed the county doesn't have a zoning.
Yes. It's benefited me as a homeowner.
Right.
And
And that ultimately is the issue, is that you want to be able to do what you want to do on your property. And so everybody else also enjoys that right to do that. But if this board is interested in looking at that, we'll take that under advisement.
Yeah, and that was my purpose of being here, was to put it up for discussion. And if the board makes an informed decision that there is no issue here, then I still did my job.
Well, you're absolutely right. There are many billboards. I did see one on 13 in Pentecost. It's laying on the ground out there right now. I actually go by your place the other day.
You saw the Christmas lights?
Well, turned it down, I don't know if I noticed Christmas lights.
I think I'm the only house that decorated on that section of the whole Route 13, so.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not sure I even looked at your house. In particular, I know. Okay.
Yeah, and it's, like I said, so I think I said what I needed to say, and I hope the board, and maybe someone on the board contacts the company and asks them what their policies are. Like I said, it may be a non-issue.
Well, we'll take a look at it. We'll see if there's anything.
Okay, but thank you for your time.
I emailed, returned his email a while back, and I told him I've got some firsthand experience with this. There was a billboard placed on my property at one time. And I'll be honest with you, this is prior to the May 8th storm. And during some high winds, they have a corrugated piece up on top, I guess, whenever they're changing the signs. That's what they lean up against, it was always vibrating. And eventually, well, not only that, he eventually had metal fatigue and came off. So I've got this probably at least a 10-foot, maybe 12-foot wide piece of corrugated metal go flying through the air, and it buried itself in the ground, in frozen ground during the winter.
Holy cow.
So they do have a potential sometimes, and all of those corrugated pieces came off and went flying somewhere at one particular point. But on the other ones, now that we're seeing more of the digital ones, now I'm not sure, is that one a digital one that's by you?
I think they're all big
They can be
television.
extremely bright whenever they have maybe a white background. I know that even that there's an intersection that I've noticed where it's extremely bright. And if it was next to my property, and I don't know, if they keep me up or whatever, but it does illuminate not only the sign, but your property.
Yeah.
And I really, it would kind of bother me as well. I don't know, does IDOT have any?
So yeah, I can add something to this conversation if you like.
Yes, well,
Yeah,
Okay, so, back, probably 20 years ago, billboard regulation was within the actual district, here in district. Each district had their own team, and I was in charge. And they moved it to Central Bureau. So there is, if you go to IDOT's website, you can read about how the record comes and all the rules. IDOT is actually from Pentecost to 148, and 148 is all the jurisdictions. Those are not county roads, not even the main road. It's not county and it's not city. Additionally, I know the city of Marion is considering some billboard regulations that they're going to put in place. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be within the city limits.
Well, I think I'm in the zone of, it was a zone of influence, I think. My house,
You're in the 1.5 mile radius of.
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
yeah, you would be covered by that zone.
it's the city of Marion, the recycle.
Okay, you would be.
Goes right past the house. So my street is actually city of Marion. My ditch in front of it is not.
The other thing I'll add to that is the billboard laws only restrict billboards on particular roads. I don't believe 148 and 13 are part of that restriction. 57, Route 13, historic routes, scenic highway routes are covered. I don't believe those two are. But I will say, unless they have changed the rules, there was some lumen requirements that that they had to adhere to, especially when it was interfering in stop or any kind of signals. So I guess my recommendation to you would be, if you feel that they're interfering with the signals, then I would call, I would look up the billboard at site on IDOT's website, and there would be a contact person. And I would call them, what's your opinion? Because it is a safety control route. And,
Well, I'm not trying to pick a fight with anybody.
well, no, but it's a safety concern. I have the same concern. I mean, there are numerous up and down Route 13, and they are distracting.
Yes.
This is just my opinion. This may not be the board's opinion, but this is my opinion as a highway engineer. Is those billboards are put there to get your attention, and they do get your attention, and they distract from driving. Just like a phone, just like a radio, just like even a hammer. And as they get brighter,
Yeah.
they get more intensity, and they, my opinion, they're going to cause accidents. That's my, may not be their opinion. So I would definitely make a phone call or an email to that billboard advertisement, say what you got, say it's interfering with stoplights. I will say this though, at that particular intersection, in the next 2 or 3 years, they're gonna go around, lights will be gone. Stoplights will be on, so. Then,
Which one?
Old 13 and Old 28,
Where the lights gonna go?
the lights will be gone, they'll be around.
Oh, roundabout, okay.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of truck traffic that goes up and down and they fly
Yeah.
through that intersection. As far as contact the company, I want to probably work through Jim on that. I don't know if I should take such a forward position with that. Maybe I'll work in conjunction with a county employee. I just would feel better about that.
No, that's what we do, that's our job.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right, if you want to keep in contact.
You've got my email contact, so just.
But I think that it's the issues down here. So in this one, we need to get some feedback possibly to vendor. Like I said, I'm hoping they come back and say, oh, we know. And we took care of that with our own policies and then the issues done. If not, then we have to talk,
You did bring up one other issue about permits, and Alex, you're here, we don't, obviously, we don't have any permits.
There's no permits.
On sites. Alex is our supervisor of assessments, Alex Simpson.
Permit ordinance is for 100 square feet and greater, so those aren't 100 square feet on the ground. Permit ordinance is really to give teeth to floodplain ordinance. And,
The actual surface area of those boards probably are 10 by 10.
yeah, but like I said, it's to give teeth to the floodplain ordinance.
Just they're vertical, not horizontal.
That 24 inch cylinder on the ground isn't really impeding floodwater
No.
anywhere, so.
Well, that wasn't my aim either. Right now, it's just a matter of, we have an opportunity possibly here for council to convention and public here. And that's why I'm here.
We appreciate Mr. Zepson, Z-E-P-S-O-N.
JEPSE. Yeah, I wanted to get back to work real quick and then my boss came in. So my cover is blown.
All right, thank you for your input, appreciate it. Oh, yeah, somebody else would like to address this real quick?
Go ahead.
Got some notes, a little old, so my memory isn't always there. My name is Ed Simmons, and I'm part of LEPO, the Lake of Egypt Properties Owners Association, and our job is to help make all 18 of our subdivisions in Williamson County a safer and quieter area to live and reside in. We're having an issue where people have found out, and during the pandemic, it's even got worse. You can rent houses on Lake of Egypt, $2,000 a week. You can rent bigger houses on Lake of Egypt, $3,000 a week. This brings a lot of renters into our community. So they disrupt the community, they disrupt the neighbors, and in checking with the Williamson County Sheriff, and with the help of Commissioner Milo, we found out we as homeowners do not have the right to quiet enjoyment of our property in Williamson County unincorporated. There is no curfews. So if renters want to have parties to 2, 3 in the morning, if they want to wake us up at 4 or 5 in the morning, we do not have the right to stop this. I talked to the sheriff on a couple different occasions. He put me onto a website that shows some very obscure Illinois laws that say we have these rights. And because they're civil rights, they are not allowed to police that. And as they're our policing agency, we have no right, and neither do all the other of thousands of unincorporated homeowners in Williamson County.
He doesn't have the right to say that we're disturbing the peace.
That's a pretty broad question.
Yeah.
There are certain rights that you have, it's at what level does it rise to?
Further on the website, it tells me our policing agencies have the right to give out tickets and issue fines. But in Williamson County, Our policing department doesn't have that right. Let's see, other issues. It says, after a certain period of time, homeowners have the right to take the offending homeowner to court. In Williamson County, we do not have that right to stop any of these things from happening. In my own subdivision, I have a rental person who lives on the property with the homeowner. He has 6 places to park on the property. He will not wake up the residing homeowner. He has 2 places on the property. He can deliberately wake up this homeowner, which is older. Both him and his wife have many health issues. The sheriff told me he has the right to wake up his residing homeowner on a daily basis. Now, if renters have these rights and homeowners don't have these rights, what will happen after January 1st? When the law says no more bail? Another couple came to our meeting and said they were sitting on their porch. People were walking on their dock. And they said, ooh, here's a nice picnic bench on this property. We can have a picnic lunch here. They said after January 1st, what are they going to do? Write us a ticket? We don't have to post bail. We can come and sit on this property and have a picnic lunch. So there are a lot of bad people out there already thinking about how they're going to violate the laws on the beaches. So I'm here asking the board, can, as a board, give us the right to quiet enjoyment in Williamson County? Can you give us the right to a curfew? And the law says the curfew should be 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Give our police department the right to write tickets. If they're making $2,000 a week, that ticket should be $100, $500, $1,000. The law in Illinois says 50 to 250. Of course, that was written 50 years ago. If these people are making all this money, another of our members said they found out who the homeowner is of their next property that's bringing in these renters to complain. A couple from California who has never been to Illinois, never been to Lake of Egypt, found out if you buy a house on Lake of Egypt, you can rent it for $2,000 a week. They're making between $80,000 and $90,000 a year renting property, and the renters have all these rights, but residing homeowners don't have these rights. And that's where I'm looking to point out to the board. What are your hotel laws? Are you getting a share of this $2,000 a week, $3,000 a week? That money can help our community.
So you're talking about Airbnb,
Airbnb, homeowners individually, Verbo, all these others are renting these houses. And Williamson County isn't getting a share of it. So I'm here to complain.
We have
a bed tax.
We have a bed
in
tax, so we-
place, but it's voluntary, the way the reporting is.
That's actually been on the radar to look at.
I don't know how else to, we've had this issue not just with the Verbos, we've had it with regular hotels here in town as well.
It's my understanding from the treasurer, who's not with us today, that we are making progress on those that go through Airbnb and Vrbo, that are more standardized, that we will start to make an arrangement with those organizations to get some of that money back to the county. But that's a work in progress.
Yes.
That's all I can say. The question I had for you is, do you have an HOA?
No.
I'm aware of at least one HOA at the lake that anyone that owns property, when they sign in and buy in for the HOA, it states in that document, in that contract, that you can have no commercial use and no rental use. So you might talk to your neighbors as well about, is there any interest in forming an HOA to do some of your own leasing? Because depending on how you write that, as you correct me if I'm wrong, you might be able to control some of that internally.
I'd be happy to get the information on that HOA.
I'll try and dig up an old copy and see if I can get it.
Fantastic.
Was that it?
That was it.
And as far as the noise is concerned, we do now have the ability to monitor the noise. The sheriff's department has.
Very ambiguous in talking to the sheriff.
That's.
Did you talk to the new sheriff or the other sheriff?
Well, first time I called, they told me we have no rights. Commissioner Milo gave me another phone number to call, and unfortunately, I got the same answer.
Did you get that?
So the way it was worked out, we didn't have sound registering device that could be calibrated. They now have 2 sound registering devices that they get called out. They can monitor the amount of noise. It's a specific set of regulations on how to monitor how many feet apart from property line to record the sound. And we have, there's an Illinois has an administrative code that they go by. What is allowed, and anything above is excessive. And their devices can be calibrated. Yes. So they have
What
2
I
of
was
these.
told was they can go out there as a courtesy to that homeowner, but there are no teeth in that law that says what they can do.
Well, that's going to be between the sheriff and the state's attorney's office on that. They're the law enforcement arm of the county. So we gave them.
We can't force him to go out and enforce, and we can't.
And that's what he's saying. We
Prosecutors
county
prosecute.
laws that give them the ability to enforce and put all these laws together as a county law. Because it's a very obscure civil state law right now that gives us very minimal rights.
What
We'll
about
look
Bi-County?
we'll look into that.
Bi-County have any regulation on that? Noise, nuisance?
Well, so normally it's a civil matter.
And that's what they're saying.
The county's not involved with, but there are law firms that do represent people for diminished values, for disturbances, et cetera, nuisances. It's a tricky area. Damages are difficult to show. Yes, the county has sound machines. One of the difficulties is going to be what you've described is not an ongoing party scene, but somebody that may start up their diesel truck at 4 o'clock in the morning and wake up the neighbor. And your claim is that they can park somewhere else on their yard and it wouldn't be as much of a disturbance. Those are difficult things to do or to enforce. And it's if anybody came in and said, you can't park your car in your garage, you're going to say, I can park my car in my garage. So it's a fine line of rights. I think we're getting intertwined with, we've got renters, we've got this, there's a whole lot of issues that you kind of threw out today that I can't discern as to how much it's a rental issue, how much it's regular homeowners issue, or a combination of both. And so, I mean, it's difficult to give you guys advice on where it's at, but generally speaking, it seems to be a civil matter, not a matter that generally the counties are involved with.
So you're kind of saying because it's a civil matter, we're playing with this?
No, I think you have to take some action on your own behalf with potentially filing a lawsuit against the neighbor for quiet enjoyment of your property.
But when I called your department, they told me they don't deal with any civil rights and
The
they
state's
can't help homeowners about this.
The state's attorney's office generally doesn't handle civil matters, just the same as the state's attorney's office doesn't do divorces or doesn't do personal injury lawsuits. They get involved if there's a county interest But other than that, they don't handle the civil. That's what the other outside law firms are for.
Yeah, but when I call lawyers to help our community out, if we're not an injury or if we're not looking for disability, nobody in Marion, Illinois does anything about it. So 18 subdivisions down there are thrown up in the air and saying, there's no fun living in Williamson County, Illinois, because the renters have all the rights and homeowners have no rights. And that's where we're at. And even when our policing department, the sheriff tells us the renters have the rights and the homeowners don't. It's a very sad situation. So we are hoping the board would take it upon themselves to make this a Williamson County law and give the sheriff the teeth they need to police us properly. Because they're our policing agent. Unless you allow us to put our own police department in to police us because it's a civil matter, that's where we stand right
Well, I think we'll discuss it.
We're gonna have to discuss this. You've given us a lot to talk about here.
We'll discuss it with our attorney.
We're gonna
and
have
we'll
to
see
talk
what's
this
the-
through.
Right.
Because once again, we're gonna be, it sounds like you want us to move it to an area which we don't operate in now.
I just want you to protect the unincorporated people in Williamson County. That's all I want.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Anybody else here to address the board? All right. Okay. On to the consent agenda. These items, we pass on one motion. Anybody have any comment about the consent agenda? I have a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Have a second. Roll call, please.
Jim Marlowe,
Yeah.
Tim Atkinson,
Yes.
Jim Reed,
Highway Department.
All right. Good morning, guys. So this morning I am here to ask you guys to approve a partial purchase. Normally when we buy new vehicles and equipment, we bring to you a completed packet with the overall cost. In this particular situation, the big three automakers have all got different dates of when they're offering the heavy truck price. We advertised for bids on some new 550/5500 type size trucks. And we got the chassis bids. There's only one entity right now that is open. The other entities can't come to win, or if they're going to open their bids back up again. In addition to that, they are no longer offering government fleet discounts. I think they can sell everything they make in the open market. So what I'm here to ask you guys to do today is to approve the purchase of two F-550 2023 chassis. We got a bid price on the plows and the beds, but I was not happy with those prices. And I was not happy with some of the options that we wanted, that they marked out, just said they wouldn't provide. So I am getting some additional bids for that equipment to be added on as an aftermarket. The problem is this window at Ford is probably going to close in the next 3 to 4 weeks or sooner. And if we miss it, I don't know when the next opportunity will be. So I want to get these chassis ordered. Then once we get the prices on the spreader boxes and the plows and the beds, then I'll bring a complete package to you guys to approve building all. So it's just basically so we don't miss this one.
All right.
Worst case, would any of your existing bolt-ons go on these chassis?
We are not, we're not trading anything. This is in addition to our fleet. We currently have 5 of these vehicles. These vehicles are very handy for us down in the Lake of Egypt area, in the smaller, tighter quarters. And so we opted not to trade anything. because that's one of the areas that we struggle in because of the hills and narrows and roads. So we will be adding the fleet.
Yeah, you send one of those dualies down there, it's tough to get around.
Yeah, and you get one of them hung up down there, you're making a mess.
And a lot of these are cul-de-sacs, you pull the engine
They are.
back out.
We hope for there to be a cul-de-sac.
A lot of times.
In
it's
best
just
case
a-
scenario, it's somebody's driveway in many cases.
Yeah.
So we don't want to be turning around box truck or tangling somebody's driveway. So, yeah, so anyway, that's the situation. So as soon as you guys approve this, then I'll get it ordered. And we're currently working to get a second price on all that extra equipment from Railroad. Those guys build a lot of stuff for the CNIC Railroad. They're right here locally in Gibson County. We have a problem in the middle of snowstorm. I can pick up a phone call those guys for 10 minutes. And so we like to try to use local.
Good, that's what we want to hear, use local. Anybody have any other questions? Somebody wish to make a motion?
Make the motion.
Second.
Jim Marlowe,
Roll call?
Jim Reiser,
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe,
Yeah.
Tim Reynolds.
Travis, you have a resolution.
Okay.
Looks like.
Thank you, guys.
Travis, you got a highway resolution?
Yes.
Do you know about that?
I may have been forgotten. Oh, yeah, this is important.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah, this
Let's
is
talk about this one.
It's more important than trucks. Okay, so every year we submit to IDOT our maintenance plan for county highways. And that's to approve MFT money to be spent for the improvement of these roads. So this is a resolution for you guys to approve $1,791,750 for our FY 23 budget for county highways.
Questions?
Just a little more information from you. I tried to do a little digging on this, and that seems like a really big number for what it is. Can you add anything to that?
So this is our oil and chip program. This is our purchase of all of our aggregates. This is the purchase of anything that is done through the MFT. It also includes money like for any match money. Like, for example, if we're like on the roundabout, we're building a skyline, there's going to be a match component to that. Probably between $400,000 or $500,000. That's that kind of for projects that we do. We also recapture a portion of our daily labor. So like, not all, but a portion of our labor costs we recapture out of that. Like if we go out and put a culvert in on a particular road, we will back charge that and get reimbursed for some of that. We don't get it all, but we get some. So that's any materials. We also, we charge rental. We can't charge MFT money for our buying of equipment, but when we use it on the road, we get rent it back. And we capture some of our money for that. So that helps us buy these new trucks.
Where does the MFT money come from?
So that's gas tax. When you pay at the pump, that's the portion that goes to the state. And then they redistribute that through formula to us.
Travis, of the 1.791, you will attain 1.791 FT this year. It's not coming out of, or is it some coming out of reserves, or where?
We'd have to look at the exact number, but yeah, I believe that we capture at least that.
Okay.
Yeah. And honestly, guys, this is a high number. We don't always reach this.
Yeah.
So we budget for worst case. Yeah, and I would, Jim, I can get you some numbers historically what we do off the top of my head. The 1.7, 1.8 million And that's about what it was last year, maybe just a hair higher this
I was
year.
gonna say, that was pretty close to what you had last year.
I would kind of compare them and see what, to make sure we're not getting out of hand.
And he might also have questions with local funds and MFT come into play,
Yes.
how they're used and how they cannot be.
Yeah,
I don't know,
anytime.
it's confusing. I've been dealing with it for 2 years. It's still very confusing.
Well, I've been dealing with it a long time.
Yeah.
30+ years, and it's still confusing. It is a management to track all this. IDOT comes in and audits you, Kim Meyer comes in and audits it. And, you know, we make mistakes, just like anybody else. IDOT's often saying, hey, 2,000 last year, you should have done that, okay, we'll just move it back. So it's that kind of relationship. And like I say, Jim, if you ever want to sit down and have this conversation, go through, you know, we'd be glad to do that.
Sounds good.
If you're on your way to bed and you need some bedtime.
If you need something to help you sleep, I can.
All right, need a motion to approve resolution.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 22-12-13-65. The resolution for maintenance under the Illinois Highway Code.
Second.
Roll call.
Jim Marlowe.
Yay.
Jim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Razer.
Okay. Not to belabor the bill, but also the county union. side.
Greg showed me a flow chart one time of all the funds.
You know, I'll give you.
You don't need that, just look over it.
Yeah, yeah, I'll get you a copy of that. It's,
There's an unbelievable.
yeah, it is. Yeah, okay.
Thanks, guys. Good one. We have a resolution to abate the Williamson County bond for the jail. I'm sorry, I missed old business. Thank you, Jim. Is there any old business? I knew you were gonna say that. Jim, have you got any old business?
No, I do not.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Marlowe. Next one is the jail bond abatement for 22-23. And this is something that we do every year. Questions? Motion?
There's no questions. I'll make a motion that we approve the jail bond abatement. It's the resolution number 22-12-13-66.
Roll call, please.
Jim Marlowe.
Okay.
Jim Atkinson.
Aye.
Jim Razer.
Next up are the contracts for the Public Defender's Office. And I get this wrong, but I believe these are contractors that come into the office to fulfill parts of the Public Defender's caseload.
Correct.
This is something that we do every year.
This is something that Judge Green appoints.
Right.
Certain additional help basically for our public defenders.
And then he also sets the compensation level.
Right. Certain cases require X number of attorneys, like especially like if it involves children. I believe they have to have a certain attorney for each child, you know, and everything. So it requires a number of attorneys. So
There is a lot of conflict of interest too, I think, in those cases
sometimes,
Yeah, you've got mother's interest is potentially competing with the father's interest. In some instances, you may have multiple children with multiple parents. So then you also have to have a guardian ad litem that's looking at the best interest of the child as well. So there can be significant numbers of attorneys.
A lot of them. Okay, so we need motions to approve these 3 contracts.
we'll do it separately.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we approve the contract for the public defender Allen Road.
Roll call?
Jim Marlowe.
Yes.
Jim Atkinson.
Okay.
Jim Razer.
I'll make a motion that we approve the contract for the public defender Megan Rich.
Roll call?
Jim Marlowe.
Okay.
Jim Atkinson.
Okay.
Jim Razer.
And I'll make a motion that we approve the contract for Teresa Machacow Hopkins.
Second.
Roll call?
Jim Marlowe.
Okay.
Jim Atkinson.
Yeah.
Jim Razer.
We have a labor agreement. We just have one, don't we, Rick? What do we have two ready for today?
We've actually got two. I do not have approval from the union on those. I can recite generalized terms, but you guys can either table this or you can approve based upon the verbal terms and present a written, however you guys want to handle that.
So would you like to see the hard copy of the contract?
That is my recommendation.
I think we should wait to see that, so let's table this.
We did receive word that animal control did ratify theirs
Yeah.
unanimously as well, so we'll have two contracts at the next meeting to hopefully approve.
Okay,
I've always had this question though, do we have to vote on the tabling, or we just say we're going to table?
You can skip. If you want to do a formal motion to table, then you can do your formal motion to table, but then it requires one of the people that made the motion to table to take it back and put it back on the table for consideration at the next meeting.
let's skip it.
Just FYI.
Commissioner Atkins,
Yes.
the Emergency Services Disaster Agency is named in that line item. They do not have a collective bargaining agreement.
Is your office, was it union?
No.
No, I don't think it was. Was it?
Years ago, wasn't it, whenever they had a
It
section?
It used to be.
Right,
Yeah.
it's no longer, I'm not sure why. emergency.
That wording was taken off of the contract that we have right now.
So we probably need to change that.
I just want to make sure it was stricken from there so that we're not,
Right,
when we move forward in hiring, we're not bound by collective bargaining.
excellent, thank you. Next is a resolution for adding a Class A liquor license in the county. I had a question. This is for a business that has applied for one. Have you seen the application?
I have. The only concern I had about the application was the insurance element. It indicates that it's a proposal, does not indicate that they actually have insurance. So the only caution I would give is that if you approve a license for this business, that you don't approve it until it formally has presented policies.
Right.
That is in effect, as opposed to currently it just has proposal language in their paperwork.
Yeah, we can do it.
They sent me the current, insurance on it. I had it in my email this morning.
Oh,
So we do actually have that.
so last week when I reviewed, it was not, but apparently it may have came through today.
So just so I'm clear, this resolution is going to generate a new liquor license, and we are approving them for that liquor license at this time.
Well, the only thing that I show on the agenda under the resolutions is amendment to the ordinance
Right,
that would create another license available. I do not specifically show on the agenda unless I've missed. I don't show
I
on the
didn't see it on the
agenda
agenda, that's
that
what
there
was
is
confusing.
that there is an approval for their license.
Right, because I'm not seeing the application yet.
So, yeah, well, I did. So I got it sent to me for, and I assumed that you guys had seen it as well. So no, up for discussion today is just simply the resolution that increases the number of licenses from 19 to 20. But it does not have the formal approval of Sawmill Gaming,
Okay,
which is the applicant.
Okay, so, why don't we just, we got a couple options, one would either approve opening up that license, or we could just table it until we get it all at once on the next agenda.
I wasn't aware that we had to put that on there, because this is the way that we have always did it in the past, so had I known that I would have contact or approval, but
that's kind of what I was actually this
Yeah.
morning, I was like, well,
this is the way that we've always did it in the past to approve opening.
I just assumed we'd build it, if we want to, we can approve this resolution today, then we have a.
Yeah, you've got an application on file,
We need-
so you can approve the resolution today.
Right.
And then, like I said, at the
Next
next
meeting.
agenda, throw on there along with the collective
Yeah, let's
bargaining
do that.
agreements, throw in the approval of the liquor license. So that way we've got it
Yeah.
in place.
Jim, do you have any questions about this? As I said, this is pretty standard stuff here,
It is.
so.
I'll make a motion then that we approve resolution number 22-12-13-67. First amendment to an ordinance known and designated as a liquor license control ordinance, County of Williamson, State of Illinois, dated April 27, 2022.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Jim Marlowe,
Okay.
Tim Atkinson,
Yes,
Jim Mosier,
Now that means we have one.
20 now. We have 20, and we have the application in the office with us. And
And we can
Stephanie,
approve that at the next.
right, we'll do that at the very next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have some, we don't have anything, Jim, I'm not gonna miss the ordinance on this one, so. Okay, committee and board appointments. We have a few that require the county commissioner to serve on those boards. We're going to appoint county commissioners into those seats today. We also have, if I'm understanding this correctly, we have Jeff Robinson that also needs to be reappointed to Greater Egypt. So I have a resolution for Jeff Robinson. Are there any questions or comments about Jeff? Make a motion to approve resolution number 22-12-13-68 to reappoint Jeff Robinson to the Greater Egypt Regional Planning and Development Commission.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Jim Marlowe,
Okay.
Tim Atkinson,
Yeah.
Jim Mosier,
Yay.
Then we have Crosswalk Community Action Agency Board. And once again, that is a board that has a Williamson County, serving Williamson County Commissioner on it. So Commissioner Marlowe will be taking that board. Jimmy, don't you make that motion for you?
I'll make a motion, to pass resolution number 22-12-13-69. That's appointing Jim Marlowe to the Crosswalk Community Action Agency Board.
Second, roll call, please.
Jim Mosier,
Yay.
Tim Atkinson,
Yeah.
Jim Marlowe.
Yeah.
Once again, we have another board, the Franklin Williamson Bi-County Health Board, which has to have a serving county board member on that. I'm going to appoint myself to that board. I have a resolution for that, or a motion for that.
I'll make the motion, and that is for a 3-year term commencing on today's date due to expire July 1st, 2023. So I make a motion that we approve resolution number 22-12-13-7.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Jim Marlowe,
Yes.
Tim Atkinson.
Yay.
Jim Mosier.
Yay.
Okay, I don't have a resolution for me to be on Greater Egypt.
Normally on Greater Egypt and Simcoe, it's the chairman of the county.
Yeah.
Be on those boards.
I don't know if that requires a resolution.
It doesn't. I'm not aware of one. I don't think we had one whenever I got on there. So we just more or less switch on. So
Right.
I've already sent Kerry Vance an email telling him that you're the new chairman,
Okay.
that you'll be taking my place on both Greater Egypt and Simcoe.
So that's why we don't have a resolution for that one. We have one more that I'm aware of that we need to make, but we don't have a resolution for him. And I was wondering, Brett, if we actually have to have a resolution for Jim to take my place on ETSB.
Really falls upon their bylaws on how the appointments or how the creation occurs. So,
I will check.
for instance, with the health department, that is statutorily set. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be an appointment. If it's supposed to be an appointment, then I think you need a resolution. If it, by default, as, Greater Egypt says, it'll be the chairman of the board, then it fluctuates with whoever's holding that title.
Right.
So,
I'm pretty confident ETSB is not chairman, but it does say commissioner.
if it just says a commissioner from the county shall serve on it, then you would need to do a resolution.
Yeah. I'll reach out to BJ Stewart about the bylaws. Do you have anything else?
I believe we had another one to come in that we may have to add for later, but crosswalk.
Yeah, Ron Mitchell. And on that one, we're gonna wait for, we reached out to the director. They're gonna send us a letter for signature requesting that, once we have that. Appoint Ron, and I believe Ron's ready to be back on that board, so he will continue to serve.
What we've done in the past, Jim, your information is if we get a letter from either the chairman or the secretary of whether it be a board like 911 or other board that we appoint to. So either from the chairman or the secretary, so a signed recommendation.
Did you get that list of the boards that we appoint to?
I don't remember seeing.
My
it.
fault, I'll make sure that you have it before we move to that.
Okay. Also under new business, you had a line for IT and phone.
Yeah, we're gonna have a meeting this afternoon. I think we're gonna recess a meeting game. I'd like to table that until then.
We'll skip it until then.
We'll skip it till then.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything from the crowd? Ashley, you raised your hand first.
Mine's short.
Let him go.
Okay, well, come on.
I would like to update the board on the status of the lost title for the vehicle that is been deemed surplus property. At Mr. Markey's recommendation, I contacted Secretary of State's office. We've tracked the title. It did have an active title in place, and then we are currently in the process, paid the fee today. So we are in the process of recovering the lost title. They said 45 to 60 days. We are going to remove the radios and any county property that's in the vehicle, and we are going to deliver the vehicle to the City of Marion EMA after the first of the year so they can start the repair process on it. And then we'll do the title transfer once the title comes in place.
Yeah, Wayne was very happy with that. He was very happy to get this job.
So just wanted to update you on the status.
Oh, thank you, Brian. Ashley? You're up.
Hold next.
I have some budgeting or this discussion to go on. First one, in regards to ARPA, one of the vehicles that the sheriff's office is purchasing from Watermark Ford, I believe is being purchased through ARPA. What I need to know, and to be able to put in my report, is I need a commitment amount. I know you had talked about 4 vehicles being purchased through capital improvements for this upcoming budget, and then possibly up to 6 through ARPA. Is that still the number that you would?
I thought the number through capital improvement was 3.
Is it 3?
I thought that's what we.
I thought it was 4.
Okay.
Well, that's why I'm asking. I wanted to get some kind of
I thought it was
clarification.
It was either 3 or 4, and then 6 from our.
Okay.
How much is in capital improvement for that?
I don't have that from me. No,
I can go get it if you can bear with me. Give me a second.
and that's fine. And then
I've listed as 4 squad cars, 252,800.
okay, so then the 6 that would be for ARPA, I guess it's one from, I guess I would need to identify, do you want this one that's being purchased from Watermark Ford to be purchased through ARPA or through capital improvements?
Okay, so Scotty's gonna put a claim through today for 3 other squads for capital improvements. That one's gonna be moved over to capital improvement
Okay,
today. If there's 4, let's do all 4 of them, or do we want to use ARPA? it's,
There's an advantage to use fund.
we're gonna spend money.
One way or another, the intent is to get them all, 10 vehicles. So
I mean, so from a selfish standpoint, if you don't buy it through ARPA, I mean, in this month, that's one less report I have to do, or one less
So you're telling
item
us
I have
it
to
would be
add. So
better
if you committed to 4 and you're willing to do the 4, for capital improvements, that would be much better.
let's pay
Because then
for
I
it.
can wait.
let's take that out of capital improvement. I don't care either way.
Yeah. So, and that, yeah, that does,
I did
we're
talk
a
to
little
Sheriff
more interested in
last
the
night.
fund than we do.
The rest of the cars are gonna be here. He's thinking they're gonna be here by maybe April. I believe that decision.
Okay. And that's from the Murrow, so is this
I don't know where they're coming
claim that's been submitted?
from. So that claim is being turned into capital improvement claim.
Okay,
Fiscal year 22-23.
okay. Thanks, guys.
That takes care of that question. I mean,
Yeah.
that's gonna be 4 total. So I don't know if we've gotten the information yet on the 4 that you're talking about. You've seen the invoice.
Well, I have an invoice from Marion Ford, or from Watermark Ford.
Right.
And then there were 3 vehicles listed on this claim at the time from Murrow Brothers Ford.
Yeah.
So that would be the 4 total.
4 total.
Okay.
So we'll run every one of those through capital.
Right.
And you know, we'll be, oh, yeah.
Okay. The other kind of housekeeping thing, today is the final day in which anybody can turn in, an office can turn in any kind of request claim form for the prior year's budgets. It'll cut off at 4 o'clock, so anything that's turned in after that is now next year, 22, 23, so we can finalize that. I think I had mentioned that we could possibly have a meeting Thursday or Friday in order to be able to do all the final fund transfers and clean up the budget up to show where we are. That would be appreciated.
What's your preference on that, Ashley?
I mean, if we can do it Friday, I like Friday, but I think maybe somebody had a conflict for Friday, or is that?
We may potentially have a meeting on Friday.
Friday, we have, of course, we got it.
Right, we have 11:30 even, so.
But, first thing Friday.
You can do it first
Potentially
thing.
do it first thing Friday.
First
morning.
thing Friday morning, we were thinking about a fairly early meeting on Friday morning. Wait, that's yet to be determined. It will be early.
Okay, that's fine. That works out, because I have a meeting.
How long will this take?
I mean, I'll have it'll basically be one-page resolution showing everything being moved, I mean, into the proper categories, and you have the final approval, so we can zero out every budget and make sure the ones that were over budget will be moved, contingency money will be covered, all those ones that are under budget will be moved in contingency, so you see exactly where the final numbers are.
So change.
Right. Plan on 9,
Okay.
subject to change. Could you get that information, Stan? That should be on the agenda.
Yeah. Other thing, you've asked for a matrix of everything, all the offices that are paying out their special funds. There's one specific one that is still not been addressed. Circuit Clerk's office has a special projects manager that has a new position that's been newly created in the last 3 months. This was not a position that was on any prior budget or anything like that. The question is do you want that position to be paid for in full, which would be all gross wages, benefits, and including insurance to be paid by the circuit clerk's office, and no funds from the county to be expended on that particular position?
That position is created in an office outside of our budget. So my intent would be that it was created there, it should be paid for there. So benefits, total wage package, total all wise.
So hopefully
that requires a vote from us, but that's our intent.
Okay, so hopefully by Friday, I'll have the matrix all put together with everything listed. I don't know, is that something that would need to be presented to the board, Brett?
We could vote on it now because we have budgeting strategic planning on our agenda.
What are we voting on?
Yeah, I don't know if we're voting on anything. Is there something that you need to vote on?
I don't know. I mean, I just need to make sure there's something or have them acknowledge this, that they've chosen, you know, what each department is required to pay for.
Well, they produced their budget.
Right,
It's not contained within the budget for that position.
right.
So
But they've chosen to allow some offices to only reimburse and then pay for the gross wages, and then the county will then cover the levied amounts for IMRF, insurance and everything else.
some of the funds have a certain amount of money to pay employees, but there's not enough money to cover some of the benefits.
Right.
So there's a matrix now that shows which people are being paid out of which funds and which are being paid out of our general funds.
But that's not a voted on
That's
matrix.
not voted
just
on. No, that was a budgeting issue that we took care
a
of.
descriptive document that's provided to the office holders.
That's
So
all
I
it is.
don't think it requires a vote. I just think you need to make sure that Mr. Mays is aware that that matrix has been updated and that that new position
Right.
is to be
Paid for out of his funds.
I can do that.
Okay.
The only other thing I was just gonna bring up today on, because the road extension's listed here, in January, we'll have to renew that note. Anticipated rate was, it'd probably be somewhere between 3 and 3.5% for another year. It's higher than what we paid, but still significantly lower than what anybody can get, you know, on the current market that would be a commercial customer. So I think I budgeted or recommended that the budget would be for anywhere from 5 to 6% raise. So obviously that's going to be not happening. The only other thing, I don't know if it would need to be discussed, there was a question that we had just mentioned with the circuit clerk's office being over budget on those unfunded liability. And I had sent you all an email and a spreadsheet and my recommendation of what you know,
Right.
what I felt you could possibly do. Is that something that you need to discuss or?
I think we have,
Over.
we've discussed, I think we've discussed it a little bit, because that's more of a labor issue. That was the companies.
Right.
That would pay. So I think we have discussed that.
That was a vacation that was not
That was
used.
the
to
vacation.
be paid.
Right.
So I'll, whenever I do my resolution to move the funds, I will fund that shortfall with contingency money at 100% of what the shortfall is.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Ashley.
Chairman,
Yes.
just for Ashley's knowledge and your knowledge, I had a very constructive meeting with Corporate Club this morning.
Constructive?
Yeah, actually.
Okay.
Oh, I thought he said destructive.
I did too. I was like, okay,
No,
well, it's,
constructive.
It's not there anymore.
I would have thought he would have let off with that, but.
Constructive. I know you guys were hoping as much as I was to get this done by the end of the year, but it looks like it's probably going to be like January, February. So that would help you budgeting for your.
So in your conversation with them today, did they talk about turning over the legal descriptions of the properties and having all that transferred?
They are currently working on that. They've got a couple of title issues that they're trying to get hammered out. I know Claire Ziegler has the exhibits basically done, the highway plans. We're waiting on a couple of title issues to be worked out with McKinney's. And then they're turning those over to us to review. We've got one billing coming up in December that I'm working with them now on, incorporate that total billing that's been sitting there for some discrepancies, and then go to the December billing, pay that bill. Then come January, there'll be what we're calling a pre-final bill. And also some documents for basically substantially complete. And then we will get a final, hopefully get a final number with the substantially complete documents.
And Mitch is ready to accept that, right?
Yeah, he has went, so he's, we had a couple of very extensive meetings where he climbed in all the culverts and all the box culvert inlets and made sure everything was done, and punch list item created. There's one outstanding issue with him as far as a pipe culvert, it's drainage. Claire Ziegler is addressing that issue with him now. I don't think it's gonna be a problem after this last deal, but as soon as that's done, I think Mitch is ready to sign off on it. All the signage is up, and then it would just be a matter of when the warranty period starts.
And they're expecting full pay when the warranty period starts, right?
There will be, yeah, they're keeping bonds. We've got bonds to enforce the 2-year one.
You and I had a conversation about that yesterday, so I think we're moving in the right direction towards finishing it.
I hope we will.
Yep.
I mean, I had some conversation about final numbers with him today. Nothing exact, but I think we're going to be within our budget. I know it's a broad term.
Yes,
I think we're gonna,
but this group is definitely about to, but we'll figure it out.
but I think we're.
Anxious to see the papers.
Yeah, me too.
Anything else, Travis?
Just wanted that for Ashley, so he'd know what he was trying to budget for.
Okay, does anybody else have a comment, question, concern?
Do you guys have any questions about our quote for the switches that you'd like to talk about now, or should we table that for the meeting this afternoon?
We'll table that to this afternoon, discuss all that.
Skip, you mean?
Huh?
Yeah, my apologies.
Skip,
But-
I'm sorry, skip, yes.
I guess,
That's a hard habit to break.
yeah, I mean, I think one of the.
I think if that's the item for the afternoon
Let's do-
meeting, absolutely.
Let's talk IT this afternoon. Everybody okay on that? All right, so we'll take a motion for recess and reconvene.
I do have a couple things I want to talk about.
So where you go?
Where we stand on casino license.
So working on the draft of that, would expect that by the next meeting, absent a Friday meeting, we'll have a draft for circulation and review prior to that, and feedback from you guys individually. I'll compile that, and then if there's any major issues that we've got to deliberate, bring it back into open, talk about those, and try to finalize. So
Sounds good. The only other thing, Ashley, on any ARPA updating on reports on anything coming in under budget, on what we've already awarded projects. that may-
Blairsville is about the only one that's close to completion, and I'm talking with Joe Boyke, that's that one is definitely gonna come under budget. We don't know an exact amount as of yet. I guess that reminds me. We did just get the 102,000.
Yeah,
We got that this morning
for the
Oh,
tribal.
for the tribal. Yeah, sorry. The funding from the treasury. So that's the first tranche of that. We'll be getting the same 102,000, 118.64, I believe, here probably within the next 90 to 120 days. Yeah, in fiscal year total. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
It was 240.
204,000.
is this the federal land increase?
Yeah, local, yeah, something like that.
tribals.
I mean, we're eligible, everybody was eligible for mostly like 100,000, except since I guess we have maybe Crab Orchard in our,
Jackson County ended up with a larger amount as well.
yeah,
So,
so yeah, but there's, I mean, no restrictions on that money.
no, it's my understanding they were not paying property taxes for a period of time or paying a certain amount, but it hadn't gone up in 15 or 20 years. And so somebody said, why hasn't it? And
Yeah.
this is to make up for that. So here's found money.
So it'll be put in a trust in the general fund, but it can be used, I mean, for whatever we use.
One other food for thought or / discussion. I was approached by an individual a while back about the ARPA award that we gave the village of Culp on their water meters. There was a individual was informing me that there was a possibility that they may get their meters for free, and could they use that award for something else? I told them the application they filled out was for the meters that if they didn't use it, since they don't receive a full check, they draw down from the award. If they weren't drawing down, then they more likely have to fill out another application for a different project. The same process again. I don't know if that'll pan out or not. I did see their engineer that's in charge of the project. He had no idea what I was talking about. So I don't know if that'll come through or not. If it does, then more power to them, but they'd have, I told them, I said they probably have to fill out another application.
I think
If they want to go a different direction.
So there are too many restrictions.
Too
on
many
that money
restrictions,
that
yes.
it's For that use and.
Depends, yeah, if it's not used for that.
So if anyone calls you or talks about it, that's kind of what was being discussed.
I gotta believe, because I've had some conversations about this also, I gotta believe that there's not going to be free meters.
That they're not gonna,
I mean, and I could be proven wrong there.
don't know.
I don't believe that's going to happen. Maybe it will. I hope it
That was
does.
like 300 meters at about, how much meter? Remember?
Well, it was $293,000, so it was 300 or so meters, it was $1,000 a pop, something like that. That was an install price, and we paid less in other areas for essentially the same meters. Some of these meters we're getting in for maybe 200 or 250, depending on the ability of the utility to be able to install the meters themselves using the workforce, or if they have to use a contractor.
Yeah.
And then some of them, I think a couple of them may have had an outstanding agreement with the people, their suppliers, that they may have gotten a better price also because they bought other stuff that was able to give them a better price on.
I just did see another gentleman this morning who had filled out an application, ARPA application for a specific purpose. Wanted to know where it stood. I told him, I said, we're just more or less taking a little hiatus right now. I said, we have a new commissioner on board, and we want to make sure everybody looks at the applications. I said, it won't be forever, but I said, we just want to kind of take a pause. And we'll get back to it. Applications don't expire. So whatever we have, what we have, and then at another point in time, get back together and make it easier to discuss.
Of course, the order in which they're received has no bearing.
Has no bearing.
We grant money to that.
Yeah, on the order of the receipt.
So I actually had a phone call about that today too. You done?
I'm done.
Oh, good. Let's see what Jim's got. Jim, you good? You got a question?
Nothing for today.
Sure.
Yep, I'm true.
Okay, last chance.
I'm true.
Well, we're going to recess and reconvene. We need a motion for that.
Get a motion.
I'll second.
What are we reconvening at? This one?
We're recessing here. We're reconvening here at, 1:30? Of course, the
1:30 a.m.
yeah, the agenda says AM.
I believe we're notifying.
It will be 1:30 PM. Okay, this afternoon.
I'd be open at 1:30 AM, just.
Unfortunately, I believe you'll be here by yourself.
Jim Barlow? Jim Atkinson?
Yeah.
Jim Murray.
Do we have a second on that?
Yes,
Yeah.
he did.
All right, this was not a mess. Let's come back, yeah. For some reason, I feel like I've missed everything today.